Hello, it's Melinda from Scrapbooking and Craft, and welcome to the Great International Craft Show number 9 here in May in 2021. If you're watching this in the library or on YouTube afterwards, welcome. What I'll do is just show you a quick video clip of the project and then we'll get started. So this is the project we're going to complete today. So this project is all about using masks and stencils, and if I could find the matching one off to the side. So this is the mask and stencil we're going to use, and we talk a little bit about what masks are, and we create this page step by step. So without further ado, let's get started. What I'll do is I will take some photos of this and put it at the end of the video as well, so you can see some close-ups, because I know it's quite hard to get close-ups with my video camera. And this paint's a little shiny, so it makes it a bit more difficult, and fluoro as well, but I love how that page turned out. So without further ado, let's roll into the process of this video, of this page I should say. Okay, let's get into this page. So you've either sent a photo or a small video clip of the page that I have completed. Do this in reverse. So we're going to talk about masks and stencils today. So my business has designed, and that one's really hard to see, it's got stuff all over it. So I've got on my website a few designs of stencils. We've got, I think, 4 different designs in a few different sizes. So basically, what is a mask and what is a stencil? A mask is basically the one I'm holding in my hand. It's something that covers up what's on your page, and you basically paint around the shape. And we're going to be using both the mask and the stencil. I don't know which design I'm going to use yet. I'll decide that later. Doesn't matter which design you use. So this is the mask portion and this is the stencil. So traditionally a stencil you lay on your page, you cover up everything you don't want paint on, and you put paint through the stencil to create your design. So for example, these ones with all sorts of shapes are stencils. Some people get confused. It really doesn't matter if it's a stencil or a mask. Basically what you want to do is when you purchase these ones, you get the 2 pieces. So you get the stencil, and I've left a fair bit of gap around the edge so you don't have issues going off the page. And then we've got our mask. So these come in 2 sizes. So this is, let me remember, 4 by 8 inch size. And then we have the same thing in 4 by 6 size. And they come with their matching person. So as you can see, they're a good size to use together. Then we have, so this is our standing lady. She looks like she's on her ballet tippy toes. Ballet tippy toes. Oh my God, tongue-tied today. This is our crouching lady that wants to curl up in a ball and not deal with the world. And I don't have her matching one with me. I thought I grabbed it. Okay, so this one also comes in this 6 by 8 by 4 inch size as well. These are all on the website. So that's our crouching girl. So again, you get the stencil and the mask. So some of them have this bit cut in between. So that's easy to cut out of this bit, but it's hard to leave in that bit because I'd have to slice her in half and then you'd lose this. So if you're wanting that little bit of a detail, you go in and do this bit first, and then you come back, put the mask on and just do the little bit of detail there. Then some of our, well, these are all new for this event actually. Those 2, if you've been to any of our craft shows, have been available. Now we have heads. I'm in love with heads at the moment. That's a big head. Where are my little heads? I store mine in a Ziploc bag just so that my little pieces don't go missing. So again, we've got the stencil and the mask. These are fun. This one comes in that 6 by 4 inch size and also comes in the mega size as well. So there's just a comparison of the 2 heads. So you can certainly use these together on the same page or on the same project. So that's our 3rd design. And then we have a 4th design, which I haven't pulled out yet. So this is our girl standing with her arms on her hips. So this particular one, I decided to put a couple on each sheet because it was too much sort of wasted space with only one person, and I like to make my stencils this 6 by 8 size and 4 by 6 size because then I don't have any waste off my material that I cut from. So method in my madness. So, for example, these ones are the same size because there's not much sort of waste around the middle. But when I put her in the middle, there was a lot around the edge. For example, this one, you sort of can't fit much. I could have put something down here, but I didn't want to make it too difficult for you to stencil. But she's sort of got her arms sprayed out. Does that make sense? So this one I did 3 particular sizes. So I've got this size, and this size. So they're fun to use together. So that's the 4x6. Sorry, that's the 6x8 size. Getting confused. This is the 4x6 size. So I tried to make in between sizes. So now I've got one that's in between those two. I should have popped all these out. When you purchase them, they do come all popped out, and in the front of the package you get your stencil, which is this shape, and in the back you get the mask. So we've got this one in the middle of this size, and I'm hoping this one's smaller than the other one. So even if you buy the 2 of these, and I'm looking at making these bigger as well, not for this release. So I can make this and basically make any of my products any sizes. So I'm looking at making this A4 size, and then you will have lots of different sizes to play with. So now we've got, between the 2 masks, we've got 6 different, maybe I'll do this. This looks really cool with them all in a line. That does look really cool. So the 3 middle sizes come off this one, and this one come off the 4x6 mask. And then, so even if you buy the one, you're still getting 3 different sizes to play with. Clear as mud, right? So I don't particularly know which stencil I'm going to use yet in this project. You obviously will see what stencil I've used because you've seen the completed project. So I'm just going to tuck all of these away in my Ziploc bag. I do recommend you store them in a Ziploc bag because some of the pieces are tiny. And some of the pieces are to get lost on my table. So I'll put them all back in my Ziploc bag. Now, I am working on watercolour paper today. So this is the watercolour paper I'm working on. So this can be purchased from Hillbilly Scrapping. You get 30 sheets for around $22, $23. Prices go up and down. I don't really like to quote them. If you don't see it on her website, just email her and ask her. I'm not sure whether she's got it on there yet. Hillbilly Scrapping is in the process of putting all of her stuff on the website. So this is 9x12. So this is like an American size. It's an American product. Slightly bigger than A4. I think I'm going to work this way today. So I've grabbed 3 sheets out, but I'm only doing the 1 page. Sometimes if I have extra paint or extra stuff, I work on 3 backgrounds at once. But for this video, I will just do the 1. Whoops. I just spilt all those little bits I was saving all over the floor. That's okay. Okay. So to build up our mixed media background, so this could be a greeting card. You can cut this down. It can be a art journal page. This one's going to go on display at some of my shows. Ideally, I work in art journals, as in books. It's what I prefer to do. But I am liking, and Hillbilly Scrapping has sort of convinced me to work on some flat paper as well, so I can use it in displays and things. And I'm coming around to the idea of it. I don't know, just working the books. I'm thinking, what am I going to do with all these sheets of paper? So watercolour paper comes with a rough side. Usually this is what we call a cold press watercolour paper. So it's got a rough side and a smooth side. I prefer to work on the smooth side. Now the reason I chose watercolour paper, traditionally you'd use this with watercolour paints. But when you're doing mixed media, you want a paper that's quite substantial. You don't want to work on like photocopy paper or anything thin like that, because by the time we put our gel medium on, we put our paints on and everything, you want something that's quite substantial. So the weight of this one is 300 GSM. So you're wanting nothing less than about a 250 to 300 GSM. 400 is even better, but this will work. So first thing I want to do is put some fun things into my background. So I've grabbed a dictionary. Who remembers dictionaries? So I grabbed this one from the op shop, mainly because I like the thin paper. Let's grab one more page out. So all I do is pull the pages out, and we are going to tear them up. Now I'm just going to tear them so the words go crossways. This paper is quite thin, and usually in dictionaries it is. I'm probably tearing up way too much than I need. I usually do that. Put that one back in there. So I like this dictionary paper because it is nice and thin and it doesn't add bulk, but it's going to add some really cool interest to our background. So when I'm building a mixed media background or a art journal page, I don't really know where I'm going to go or what I'm doing. Well, I know I'm going to use a mask, but I don't know where my mask is going to go. I'm thinking maybe one here and one here because I'm going to show you the difference and combine the mask and the stencil on one page. So I just play and have fun with my background, and then I will work out. That's not how I want to rip that. Doesn't matter. I can stick it all down. It'll all work. No mistakes in this. So I've decided my orientation of my page is going to be landscape. And look, I did rip off way too many pages. They get stuck in the front of the book for next time. So you can pick up old dictionaries and stuff really, really cheap at the op shops or dive through your stash. I remember, excuse me, this one cost me a whole $2. I remember having to buy one of these dictionaries when I was in high school and carry it around for English. Gee, times have changed now. I am going to glue my paper down. I'm going to use a multi-matte medium from Ranger. Now, Hillbilly Scrapping sells this as well as the watercolour paper. I will mention anything I get from her, and I'll mention where I get other stuff as well. Hillbilly Scrapping and I team up to do the in-person craft live shows, some in country Victoria. We go to Melbourne, I think Wodonga this year, Ballarat, Bendigo, definitely Bendigo. It's both our hometowns. Well, my hometown. And her relative's hometown. So all those details are on our website. So matte gel medium is like a glue. What I like to do is put some down first, put my bit of paper on top, and then just go over the top. So this glue dries clear. So at the moment it's going on a bit cloudy. I'm using a silicone wedge spreader. Now, Hillbilly Scrapping did have some of these for sale, but I'm unsure whether she's got any left at the moment. That paper is wanting to curl up on me. Naughty paper. Basically, this is a silicone wedge as opposed to a paintbrush. This glue is very hard on paintbrushes, so I tend to like to use my wedge spreader when I'm using any type of glue. So if I do get creases in my work, I'm not too bothered. Stick this little piece down here. This is background sort of texture. A lot of this is going to be covered up. I'm just taking it from the lid because my bottle was stored upside down, so I've got a lot of goop in the lid. I personally like all my words to go the wrong way and all be up the right way, but as I said, most of this you are going to not see in the end. So sealing it over the top also seals the paper, so when we go to put our paint on top, the paint doesn't actually soak into this thin paper. All thumbs today. And I apologise if you hear my oven on. I'm multitasking today. I'm filming videos and cooking the teenager Alexis some dinner. So it doesn't matter if you put your words all the one way or whether you put some vertical and some horizontal. At the moment, I'm just putting them all vertical because, I don't know, I'm in the mood to do that. So there's no right and wrong ways to art journal. There's a few guidelines to follow to sort of end with a page that you're happy. And art journaling is a great way to explore your supplies and go, well, will this supply work on top of this one? And art journaling can be very therapeutic as well. You can have a bad day and then sit down with your art journal and get all your bad feelings out. Oh. Or have a bad day with your art journal and your paper won't behave. Okay. I think I'm done with that. So I'm just wanting to smooth out any areas. So I'm going to grab some washi tape. Now I really can't tell you where these come from because these are old in my stash. Could be washi tape places, could be, I think this thick one's Kmart, but you can't get to Kmart anymore. So I've got a bunch of washi tape and it's great to use it in the background of your art journal. The thing that I find is washi tape doesn't like to stick over the top of matte gel medium, so I do like to glue it down as well. Come on. Come on, washi tape. Come on. These thick ones are a bit of a problem. Doesn't matter if I can't get it off all in one bit because I'm going to tear it anyway. So I'm using black and white ones just so I know the paints I'm going to use on the top are Delusions paints by Dina Wakeley and Ranger. And I know that those paints are semi-translucent, so I know some of this is going to be seen. 90% of it's probably going to be covered up, but that's okay. I'm having fun sticking it down. So I do like to usually stick these more feature pieces in 3 spots. So I want another bit of black stripe. Doesn't have to be big. Trying to use up some of my washi tapes. Unfortunately, some items in your scrapbooking does have shelf lives, like anything liquid or like glues and paints do have shelf life. So dive into your stash and use them up. I didn't want to rip it that small. Let's stick it down a bit. Can't rip things today. And we'll just stick this one down here. So we'll see bits of this in our final piece. So if you don't have washi tape, you could use strips of pattern paper. I just pulled out washi tape because I've got a little bit of it and want to start using it up because that's what I was going on about. Washi tape has a shelf life as well. Sometimes the stickiness wears off. But in my art journal, I always, whether it's a top layer or a bottom layer like this, this one doesn't want to tear straight. I always put matte gel medium or glue. Oh, I'm just having an interesting time with things today. All thumbs. I don't know. I want to sort of, that's better. So yeah, washi tape can lose its stickiness, and as you can see, I'm going over the text, which you'll see through the number washi tape. And I want to tear it from the other side to see if I can get 3 bits out of this. So I have to struggle with that roll again. And my matte gel medium is still a little wet, so I don't have to particularly put it down the bottom. And let's go, we won't use the whole 4, let's use this one. So do dive into your stash and use things up. Don't hoard things. I do as you're told, not as I do. I've hoarded a lot of stuff over the years going one day. One day may never come, so enjoy your stuff now. Really, washi tape. I'm not enjoying you lately. It just this one doesn't want to tear. I just didn't want them being, oh, here we go. A little bit. I just didn't want them, the hard edges, so I'm trying to tear it so I've got fuzzy edges, if that makes sense. Oh, God, some days everything goes wrong with your art journal page. Some days you have a good day and things go right. That's right, things go wrong, you just laugh it off and start again. So there will be lots of drying in between layers with the art journal page. So I'm going to pause and cut all that out of the video because you don't need to see me dry paint because that's a bit boring. Let's add a little bit more up here to the top of this cluster. Why I'm making 3 clusters, I don't know. I just started sticking them in 3 spots. I could stick it randomly across the page. Come on. Come on, tape. Be nice. Some washi tapes tear very easily. Some don't like me at all. Put this, and as you can see, I'm sort of overlapping them as well. I'm not sort of having them stuck in sort of mid-air, so once I start adding layers, I like to connect the layers. So I've still got some paper here floating, but when I bring my stenciling in, that will calm it down. Now at this stage, I'm going to dry all this off, and I have to go check dinner because I can smell it. So I'm going to pause the video here. When I say I'm going to pause the video, for me it's pausing, but for you it's going to just roll on to the next clip. It's just, in case I pause it and move things, you'll wonder why the video is jumping around. I'll be back after I've dried this off. Okay, on to the next step. So this is totally dry. Just make sure my words are up the right way. Yes, so totally dry. Now, I just wanted to do a quick thing on colour theory for any of the new to art journaling or anyone that struggles with putting what colour can I work with what colour. So this particular art journal page, I'm working with Delusions paints, and I'm actually going to take these out of the plastic pocket because they're going to glare and that's going to annoy me. So I'm working with one particular brand of acrylic paint. Now you can do this with any acrylic paint. The reason I chose this particular brand is it's a little semi-transparent. The brand I use most of the time is Dina Wakley Heavy Body Paint, and it's very opaque. But because I've got these background elements here, and I want to see some of that, these are sort of semi-transparent and, sorry, semi-opaque, and you'll see a little bit of it through. So, okay, a little bit of colour theory. If you struggle to put colours with colours, Delusions or any range of products actually have these swatch sheets available on their website. And I'll just take you through and show you. So I've got one for my Dina Wakley paints. I've got one for my distress paints. Got Dina Wakley Media. I think that's gloss sprays. I haven't filled in a lot of these. I've only just printed them out. Ink sprays. So any range of product, you can download these swatch charts or so Delusion shimmer sprays, archival inks. Yes, we had to use a bunny stamp because my daughter is bunny obsessed. She did this for me. This is Alexis's job. So I've got bunnies bouncing across. So this is a great way to record the supplies you have and actually have their colours stamped out. So you can go through distress oxide sprays, distress stains, distress inks. So any range of product, embossing powders, embossing glaze, my new favourite thing. So these are available if you search Organise Your Stash Ranger. These should pop up. If you have any issues finding that, it is on the Ranger website, rangerinc.com, I believe it is. Let me know and I can find the link for you and send it across. So with the Delusions paint, she has a cool sheet. So these are all the cool colours. So all these colours go nicely together. So if you stay in a cool palette, which is usually your yellows, greens and blues, they all work well together because they're all sort of next to each other if you imagine a colour wheel. Then she has her warm colours. And personally, I don't know why I have so many greens. I don't actually like green. Side note. So these are her warm colours. So each of these colour bottles, so this is Strawberry Daiquiri. I've just taken a bit of paint and smooshed out. So you can see what actual colours are. So if you pick 3 out of this colour and you pick a different page and 3 out of that, those colours are going to go really nicely together. Then you can look at adding a complementary colour or a colour that's opposite on the colour wheel to sort of as your highlight colour. But I want these to be quite subtle. So I'm picking some of the warms today. So I have picked Rose Quartz, which is this one here, Last Light Pink. I have picked Pink Flamingo, which is Pink Flamingo, this one down here. And I'll talk about purple in a minute. And I've picked Strawberry Daiquiri. Usually I only pick 3 colours. Can't see my colours. That's always handy. So I picked these 3 colours. Usually I only pick 3, but Strawberry Daiquiri is one of her new cocktails and neons, and they're more translucent. So that's a highlight colour. I'll get to that in a minute. Now, purples are a different thing. Purples are not a warm or a cool. Purples are on their own down here because they're special. So I've got both purples because I love purple. Now, and these are the neutrals. Haven't picked up any of the neutrals yet. I'm building my stash slowly. So the purples. Now, what colour do I put with purples? So Diane Reevely has actually put another chart together of colours that go with purple because not all colours do. So these are the 3 colours I've got at the moment in the warms that go with purple, and these 3 in the cools go with purple. So I picked Pink Flamingo and I picked Rose Quartz. And then I've picked Strawberry Daiquiri I'm going to use as a highlight colour, and I've picked the purple. So you've got 2 different purples. You've got Laid Back Lilac or Crushed Grape. So you've got a light and a pink, a light and a dark purple. And then we're going to bring some black and white in foot, and we've got some black and white into here. So it's a little quick thing about colour theory. If you have the Delusions paints, these are awesome sheets to download, whether you print them off at home or take them, save them to a disc. They come in a PDF, and take them or stick them on a USB stick, and you can take them into Officeworks or any stationery shop to print them off. But they are fantastic when you're starting out, or even if you're not starting out and you don't get a lot of colours, like you don't understand how to put colours together. So that's a bit of a quick thing in colour theory. Now, I'm all about finger painting lately, so I'm going to finger paint with these. So I'm going to put Strawberry Daiquiri aside for a minute because it's the cocktail, it's a neon colour. We're going to start with these 3 colours. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with the purple. Just going to give them a bit of a shake. These ones have a ball bearing in it, so you've just got to shake them up. I'm just going to put a blob in 3 areas and just... I'm going to go up and over my black text. You're thinking, what are you doing, Melinda? You've covered it all up. I'm going to wipe some of it back in a minute. I probably put a bit too much paint out. Usually I don't put enough paint out. And I need to grab some more, but I think this time I put too much paint in. That's all right. So I'm just sort of putting it in a few spots. Put a little bit up here. I like to feel the paint on my fingers. So while it's semi-wet, what we might do is to bring some of that white back in. I just had a thought we might do some reverse stenciling. Do I have a stencil up here that I can use? Yes, we'll use this one. So I'm just going to grab a baby wipe and hopefully I don't put my jumper in the colours. Now, while your colours are wet, you can actually lay a stencil over the top. Grab a baby wipe and actually wipe the paint away through the stencil. So this is called reverse stenciling. It will only work on paper that has matte gel medium on it or on top of other paint. So it will work in some spots and it won't work in others because I've got a bit of raw paper under here. But it's sort of knocking a bit of the colour back because I put a bit too much colour down. But we can always work with it. Oh, I like that. So I'm going to use this stencil again. I picked it to use on the top, but I'm going to use it again underneath and on top. What I can do is just take the baby wipe and in any spare spots, I can just put a little bit of purple. I rub the baby wipe through the stencil. Any paint that's on it will just transfer a light bit of colour. Okay, so I think I'm done with purple at the moment. I'm going to dry that off. Just got a heat tool off to the side. I'm just going to pause you and I'll be right. Okay, so my purple is all dry. So the important thing is to dry it in between. My test is if I stick my hand on and it feels cold, it's not dry. And if I get paint on me, it's obviously not dry. So now we're going to bring a second colour in. I'm going to bring the light pink in, which is the rose quartz, and I'm going to sort of fill in the areas. So at the moment it's looking a bit like a hot mess, but it will come together, I promise you. A lot of my mixed media and a lot of mixed media and art journal pages do start off as a hot mess, but they do come together at the end. So I'm wanting to cover probably nearly the rest of this white space, and if I go over this paint, that's okay because you'll see a little bit of it come through. And then I want to just put a little highlight of that top colour, and I'm going to bring that top colour in. Sorry, that last colour, the one I just threw on the ground. Oh my God, I'm all thumbs tonight. Oh, I just can't get with it. This is what I do when I film too many videos. No. Oh, just on and all night. I've been a mother all day and now it's my work time. Okay. Awesome. As you can see, I've gone up and over some of the purple. I've gone up and over some of the black areas where the washi tape is. Sorry, just bending down to pick up that paint before a rabbit takes off with it. If you don't know, my daughter has 2 pet rabbits and they're some semi-free roam sometimes around the house and pinch things and chew on things. And I don't want them chewing on my paint. Just thinking, what do I want? Actually, I'm going to dry that off and then I'm going to put some of that darker pink on. Just bear with me a minute. Now, it doesn't have to be 100% dry, but if you do dry it off to about 75-80%, it won't mix with the next colour. So I'm just going to add a little bit of strawberry daiquiri. I don't want much. No strawberry daiquiri. What am I using? Pink flamingo. So I'm going to put a little bit over the top of some of my other colours. I do like it. Ooh, it's a nice red pop, isn't it? It's a very bright colour. So I do like to add in sort of 3 spots. Sometimes my 3 spots move out to be other spots. What I might do is just grab that baby wipe. And just the baby wipe will knock some of the colour back and spread it because of the water. So it will tone down the colour as well. So it's a wee bit bright. And a little bit more. So I like to add it in odd numbers. So I've got 3 spots. So now I'm going to add it in a couple more spots. I'm just going to start with my finger. I'm going to do some sort of border on the page. So not so much worrying about. You can sort of see here that the pink has gone over the purple and darkened it because these colours are semi-translucent. You want to be a bit gentle with your baby wipe. You don't want to wipe too hard because you wipe most of your paint off. Okay, I'm liking that. Next thing we're going to do is bring some stenciling back onto the top, especially with this darker colour, this pink flamingo. It's one of my newer colours. I haven't used it as much, so I didn't realise it was so bright. Bear with me a moment. I'll just dry that off. Okay, so that's all dried off. Now I want to use this same stencil and put some more stenciling in. So I'm just working out what colour. I think I'm going to go this bright pink. Bring some brightness back into it. I'm going to squeeze a little bit on my paper. You can put it on a paint palette. I just do it on my paper, and then once my paper gets pretty, I'll use it in my background. So when you're stenciling with paint, you don't want to just, this is a cosmetic makeup sponge, you don't want to just stick your sponge in and pick it up. See how I've got a big blob of paint there? You actually want to work it into the sponge, so it almost looks like you've got none left, but trust me, there is plenty. So we're just going to go and do a little bit of stenciling, and it will be faint in some spots, it'll be more pronounced in others. Every time you dip your sponge, just make sure you dab it off, either onto your paint palette or onto your paper. So when I like to stencil, I like to go up and over several colours just to sort of connect them. So here I've got into the pink, you almost can't see it, but I've got into light pink and down here. So I'm even putting it over where I put this darker pink but took it away with the baby white, because then when you're sponging it through, it's a darker colour. That's right, that is looking good. I'm going to do something with the border. I'm not quite sure what yet. So let's take a bit of this white away. I'm almost ready for our silhouette stencils. It's amazing how much paint is still in your sponge when you think it's empty. But you can still get quite a bit out of it. So I'm just putting a bit more on the edge. I want to leave a little bit of white on the edge. Just a little too much white at the moment for my liking. That's looking good. I'm going to give that a quick dry. Okay, so that is all dried off. What I want to do is just bring my strawberry daiquiri in. This is one of the neons, one of the cocktails. I believe there's 6 cocktail colours. And they're all named after strawberry daiquiri. They're all named after foods, I believe. So I believe lemon drop is one, sour apple teeny, dirty martini. No, dirty martini is an original one. Strawberry daiquiri is the one I've got. Tropical sangria is another one. And I believe there is 6 of the what we call cocktails, which are more fluorescent, and they sort of intensify the colour. So I'm just going to put a little bit down here, and again do it with my finger, and it will just put like a glaze over some of the areas, and it just brings a bit more of that hotness back into it, and it can big blob on my finger, can tone down a bit of the colour. I'll put a bit too much on my finger. So I'm just sort of rubbing it all over, and see how it's translucent, so you're not losing the side here. You're not losing the texture and what you've got underneath, but it's just putting like a glaze over the top. The yellow and the green actually really intensify the colours. So that's how I use these cocktail ones, is just as sort of a glaze over the top. If you use them as a background, because they're semi-translucent, they sort of get a bit lost in the background. Okay, going to give that a dry for just a moment, then we're going to bring our silhouette stencil now to decide which stencil I want to use. So I'm thinking I want to use this one, and I'm just going to find the corresponding body to it. I think it's that one. No, it's not that one. I should have grabbed these out before I turned the camera back on. Whoops. That's all right. There's another little one floating around. So I think what my idea is is this one, if you use the mask, you're going to cover up this area, and I'm going to stencil in black gesso just so I've got a huge contrast. And so this will be all black around it, and she will be just showing through with the colour. And in this particular one, I'll just put black through the stencil so I have all the colour around it. So I'm doing something like inside, outside, and then my quote's going to be something like, what shows on the inside is not on the outside. So I'm thinking I want that one there, but it's around the other way. Right, she's around. They are reversible. It's just when you match them up. So I'm just wondering where I want my quote. I think I'm going to put my quote over here. I'm just trying to dodge, like I don't want the black and white on her head. I don't mind it here because it goes sort of on her skirt, so that will look quite good. But if I did this here, it will be like on her head. So if I do that one there, I do this one here, and I'm going to do like black here for her, the quote. So this black will be sort of look like a top. Actually, she's going to be all black. No, she's going to be black around, so you're going to see that. And this is going to be all black. So that is okay. Okay, I've got my idea. So I'm going to put this one here and this one here. I'm going to do this one first, and then I'll do the other one, because this one I want to... Okay, sorry, clear as mud. Okay, so I'm going to start with this one, but what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to put this one inside and do the insides of her arms first, because obviously this one doesn't have the inside of her arms. Actually, I was going to say something and do it totally backwards. That is completely fine. Okay. So I'm going to put black there. Then I'm going to come back and put colour in her arms over the black. Okay. Sorry, I just thought I was going to tell you the wrong way. Let's not tell you the wrong way. So I'm just going to give my black gesso a shake. I just want to get a little bit in the lid. So this is black gesso from Mark. Hillbilly Scrapping sells this. I go through tons of black gesso. Black gesso is fun. So if you haven't heard of gesso before, basically gesso is a universal primer or an undercoat. Say when you paint a house with an undercoat and then an overcoat, like your top colour. What gesso does is it basically seals your surface, and then you can build on top of it. But in this case, we're using black gesso on top of our design because it's really, really opaque. So you can get gesso in white, black, and clear. So we're going to use the black one today. White you can tint with any other colour, but you can't actually make black, because if you take black paint and mix it with white, you're going to get a grey colour. So I'm just going to take a bit in the lid and again counts up my sponge and down so I don't have a lot in my sponge. And we are going to go and sponge. So what I want to do is just an up and down motion. I might have to go over it a couple of times just to get it as dark as I want it to be. So I'm going through the stencil first using the stencil. I could tape it down, but I tend to not. I tend to just take that, press that lid down. That works a bit better now. I usually just work from the lid because it's easier. Okay, I moved it. Let's move it back. So I may have to do a couple of coats just to get the black as I want, because I want it to be a really, really intense black. So I could have stenciled in white, I could have stenciled in hot pink. You just want something that's nice and opaque to stencil in. Okay, so I've done that one, and I will clean the black off my stencil. Sometimes I leave it there, sometimes I don't. Now, this particular one gets interesting because what I'm going to do is we're actually going around the shape, and the shape is going to stay the colour. So I'm just sort of lining up where I want. I sort of want it in between here, and I'm going to put a quote, or do I want her over this side and put the quote in the middle? That is what I've got to decide. I think I like her over here. I'm just going to turn my page around and upside down because it's just easy for me to stencil over this side. I don't know what black in her head I'm going to make. I like this black on it because it will contrast with the back. I'm just not wanting... I'm not wanting the black in her head. That's all right. I like this. We'll give her black. There we go. We'll just line that up where we want it. Just being a bit fussy. So again, this time we are just going to stencil around. What I want to do is get the main shape. And I'm going to stencil further. So again, I could use a temporary adhesive to hold this down, but I tend to just do it with my fingers, just turning it around so it's easier. You end up with a little bit in the middle that you can just hold on to. And once you've got it all around, you can take your shape off. Oh, I do like how the stripes go through her body. Okay, so now that looks a bit funny just like that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to extend this black out. And I don't need my stencil there for that because I'm being well away from it. I want to bring my black sort of up and around. I want to bring it a bit closer to the middle. I'm going to put my saying on there. Yeah, I know we're covering up all that beautiful work we did, but I didn't know where I was going to put my stencils, and it was fun just to make. It's fun just to make a background. And a lot of people go, oh, you do it and you cover it up. It took me a while with mixed media to be okay and comfortable with that. It's like, why do you do it all and then cover it up? Well, because I didn't know where I was going to do it at the start. And it's much easier just to do it everywhere. I'm just wondering how much I want to bring that over. If you've got any big blobs, you can just go back over and over and over again. Just trying to get quite a black area here for my title. So I might bring that over just a smidgen more. It's up to you how much you bring it over. I'm going to come over to about here, I think. So I don't really want harsh lines, so I like the lines of it being, it's just a bit blobby there. Hoping to try to pick it up without going close to my person. I'm going to turn it around and come in here because it's a bit blobby. We are going to highlight it with some paint pens in a minute, so it will stand out. At the moment it's not standing out that much. A little bit more black. That lid just doesn't want to behave tonight. So I'm going to put a title or some wording down the middle here. And I'm just going over, seeing where I want it more black. I don't mind that a little bit of it's faded and you can see a little bit of the colour through. Like you totally won't obliterate it. Unless I do a second coat, which I'm not going to on this particular project. So I don't mind if I see a little bit of it coming through. I am happy with that. Now I'll go wash my sponge and wipe off my stencil and dry that all off. Now before we do our pen work, we want it to be very, very dry. And what I want to do is define our arms in here a bit. So we're going to play with that. So I'm going to go wipe this off. Sometimes I like to wipe off my stencil onto my backing sheet. I'll just show you. Trying to get one baby wipe out is always difficult. There's about 6 one I So what I like to do is actually on my drop paper, and this paper is just, here in Australia, if we go to the deli, we can ask for like small amounts of meat. Like you can ask for 2 or 3 slices of sliced meat. And this is what they wrap the meat in. Now, your meat, and that is protected from the paper by a plastic bag usually. So I collect all this paper from when my daughter gets cabana at the deli. And use it in my art as drop paper. So I've just wiped off that stencil all around, and I've got this sort of cool little, I ripped it a bit here, but that's all right. Got this cool little image that I can use on another project, and this one I'm going to wipe inwards. So this is a good way of cleaning your stencils on paper. Just be a bit careful because this drop paper is quite thin. So I'm just wiping off the stencil and then wiping the paint inwards. Oops, without moving it would be good. This one I left a bit. I should have done it straight after I did the black gesso. So now we've got two really cool pictures to use at a later date. And I've got scribbling on here, and I just build it up until it's pretty, and until I don't want to put too much on it, and then I'll use it as some background collage in my books, or I might cut these out and use them as focal images. I just don't like to waste anything. So I've got almost a shadow there. It's amazing. So you can have all these sort of shadows in the background. So that's clean enough. That's clean enough for me. Obviously some stencils I don't clean. This one I can clean over here. Maybe. Yeah, I can clean that a bit. A bit of the pink's coming off from before. I tend to not clean a lot of my stencils. I'm very lazy, but I'm trying to keep my Silhouette stencils clean so I can use them in videos. They don't look like a dog's breakfast. Going to dry all this up. You just got to make sure this is dry. It's almost touch dry now anyway, but I'm going to dry this off as well, and then I will come back and we'll do some line work. I'll go find my paint pens. What I actually want to do is, before I go and wash my black sponge, I want to bring some of these bricks out from the I've got them all thumbs tonight. Really spilt my gesso. I want to stencil in some black bricks coming out from the edge here and across the other side. So I'm overlapping where the need to be fun paint. Should have these before I clean the stencil. Just do a few down this side, just to bring that black over to this side as well, and to give her something sort of to stand on. Just being very careful not going to the edge of my stencil. And I'm just going to do a little bit. I don't want this to be, trying to put a little bit in, but not try and make it not so it's like it's not edging in a straight line. So up here I need to add a little bit more. Can I do that because it's quite wet? So I just want to come out sort of a little bit more and fade it in. Actually, I'm liking the look of that a lot better. And what I might do is bring some of this purple into here with the stencil to bring the foreground and the background together. That's what I am trying to achieve. Let me go clean up all this black. So that's all dried off now. What I want to do is I want to grab the mask. I want to mask off our person. And I'll see if I can go over the black with a bit of the purple and a bit of the pink. And I'm going to do some accenting with some paint pens. I'm just going to do this first. I just want to pick up a bit of both colours and see if I can't dab just a little bit. No, it's not going to be the full colour. It's going to have a bit of a black backing, but let's see what that looks like. Ah, perfect. You wouldn't even know they were missing. So you can go over your silhouette with colours, just depending on what colour you did your silhouette. Now, I want to bring in this and just bring back in some lightness on this darkness. And I want to give her some sort of steps to stand on. I like my figures to be grounded, just a bit funny like that. I like my words with all my text to be up the right way when I'm ticking book pages down. It's used to feel my quirky things when I do art journaling. Art journaling is very personal and entirely up to you. I'm just watching that blob of paint. So if you want to have your words all going around and you want to have things floating, go for it. It's just my personal thing is I don't like that. But my philosophy is when I teach classes is I like to teach a technique. So this technique is all about the silhouettes and how to use them in both ways. And then it's entirely up to you. You can change the colours around. You can change the positions. Your project is your project to keep for life. So feel free to put your own spin on it. And that's how I teach my in-person and my in-person and virtual classes. I've had 2 shows of in-person classes. I'm so happy. I love doing in-person ones. Here I'm just talking to myself, which sometimes gets a bit lonely. Okay, so when you're happy with, and that sort of brought this design from the background into the foreground. The black has sort of pushed it back and then this has pushed it forward. So I'm loving that. And I've got room for my quote here. Got some pen work to do. I've now got some paint to use up here. So I'm just going to use the rest of the paint up. I don't mind if this isn't perfect stenciling. It's just building up colour on a background. As you can see, I did some black around the person. And then once this page gets enough paint on it, and sometimes I just do this with my extra paint, blobs of paint. Sometimes I work with a pad of like white paper beside me and do that on white paper. But see how I've just sort of built up almost like another journal page. You could do this in another journal as well. I sometimes just do it on paper. Some people do have an excess journal, and while your stencil's dirty, you may as well stencil something else. I'll dry all this off. So I've grabbed my black and white Posca paint pens. Not sure about the black, but definitely going to use the white. What I find is the line work sort of tends to bring it all together. At the moment, it's looking a bit flat. And I went and printed a saying. I did have some Delusions Backchat stickers, but my stash has eaten them and I don't know where they are. Does your stash do things like that? Eat supplies and you look everywhere and can't find it? I'm sure tomorrow when I go looking for something else I'll find the stickers. So this is a quote by Eckhart Tolle, I think, or Joel. I can't read my own writing on the computer. If you get the inside right, the outside will fall into place. So this is a quote we used on a art journal page at one of my in-person classes I taught, and I had some extras, so I thought, why not use this? So I'm just going to cut it into strips, and I'm going to then even maybe cut the words into strips to space them out. So you can get quotes from a lot of places. You can get like the pre-made stickers. I love Delusion stickers. They are just so funny. Or you can just go and do them on the computer. I find I love the Delusion stickers because I can never come up with the really good sayings. And I've cut that a bit funny, but that's all right. If I do use a quote by a person, I do like to leave this person's name on it. So I will cut his name and give him credit where credit is due. Whoops. So I'm not worrying if this is particularly straight. You could cut it on a paper trimmer, but I think I printed it a bit close to do that. Ideally, this was originally to be left in the one strip. What I like to do is, whether it's stickers or quotes, I like to cut and sort of, if you can get the, I like to sort of space them out and give them a bit of space. If you can get the inside right. So I sort of place them, stay there, the outside will. I like to place them where they're going to go and then decide if I want to move them around or cut them up into more individually. I get to flick all over the place. Gee, I'm all thumbs today. I hope my next video is better. I don't know what it is today. I'm just having one of those days. So I can sort of move around if you can get that inside right. I'm liking the placement. Don't know about these two yet. Okay, so we're going to leave that there for just a minute. We're going to grab a Posca paint pen. The Den Hillbilly sells these. So when you're doing your line work on your page, you can either do it in two ways. You can take your stencil and put it back down and draw around it. But I don't tend to do that because it sounds like too much hard work to line it up. So I tend to just freehand it. That's just me. If you want to use the stencil technique, go for it. Just moving my paints out of the way. Got stuff over my desk. I need to clean up between videos. So what I like to do is I like to outline, and I apologise if my head gets in the way. I have to be a bit quite close to where I'm outlining. For any of the newbies that don't know me or haven't followed my classes or met me in person, I do have low vision. So sometimes I have to be quite close to do detailed work. So what I'm doing is I'm going sort of on the inside of the black. So I'm leaving a tiny little bit of the black. And if I leave a little bit more in some spots, I'm not phased. You could go right on the edge. But I find leaving a tiny little bit of black helps tie it all in. And as you can see, I'm moving my page around. I apologise if my hand gets in the way. I probably should have stuck that quote down before I started so it doesn't fly off. And you'll find just by adding a little bit of a white line around, and I'm not being perfect. Some spots I've gone with the bigger black border, some spots I've missed the black border. But as you can see, even just by putting one black line around your person, it just makes it stand out. So on this particular one, I could outline it with black just a little bit inside the shape, or I'm going to keep with the white, and I'm going to go just a little bit outside the shape. So again, trying to keep the same distance as I'm going around, but sometimes it doesn't work. So I'm using a Posca paint pen, so it's actually paint, so it's better to turn your page around and not drag your hand through the paint. And you want to make sure your page is, there's a bit of paper that wants to come up, your page and your paint is dry very well. Looks like this one's going to be more sketchy because I've stuffed it up a few places, so let's just do it a bit more sketchy and put a few more lines in it. Won't matter. So if you do make a mistake, just make a few more mistakes purposely and it will look like you haven't made a mistake. So this is paint coming out of the pen, so it is wet, so just be careful. As I said, you don't drag your hand through it. So I tend to like to always work in the one direction. See how that's just made her pop out? Now we can make the decision of whether we want to do any black or white in the background or the foreground. So what I tend to do is, if you're starting out art journaling, stick to black and white for your pen work for now. Later on you can introduce more colours. So what I tend to do is, if I've got something really dark and I want to push it back, I'll go in with some white. And if I've got something that's really light and I want to bring it forward, I'll go in with the dark. So looking here, it's a bit dark down here where I put the bricks. So all I'm going to do is, I'm not going to do every brick, is I'm just again going to sketch in, and I'm using, I should have told you what sort of pen I'm using. I'm using that PC1MR. Now Hillbilly Scrapping does sell some of the Posca pens. I'm not sure whether she's got this actual fineness. They come in a whole variety of widths. You just want to make sure you sort of get a bullet tip, not one that's got sort of a metal tip. So this has got a metal tip, but then it's got a round bullet tip on it. The metal tip ones tend to get gunked up with your paint and your gel medium. So you just want to make sure everything's dry. Trust me, I've killed way too many pens. See how just that little bit, and I'm not doing every brick, I'm just doing here, there and everywhere. That has lightened it up and brought it into the foreground. So I'm going to do a little bit up here. So again, just going slightly inside the brick. Again, I could line up the stencil, but I like this sort of hand drawing, calms my brain down and I enjoy it. And I enjoy doing it freehand. And if it's not perfect, hey, I really don't care. And you don't have to do a lot. and knowing when to stop. Good luck trying to learn that, because I'm still trying to learn that a few years later. Now, because I've got this here and this here, I need to bring it in over here. So I like to have it sort of in 3 spots. I don't have as many bricks over here. And I've also got the white on the edge, which helps tone this white in. Now I'm wondering whether I wonder if that's too white. Whether I tone it down with pink. The fluoro pink. The strawberry daiquiri. So I'm finishing my white pen. Now, black. Do I have any areas I sort of want to highlight with black? I'm going to see how, and I don't know whether this will work. Sometimes you go on with the pen and it doesn't work. Oh, yeah, well, will show up. So art journal is a bit about experimenting. If you don't like what you've done, this is paint going on paint, so you can quickly take a baby wipe and wipe this off, or you can basically just go and stencil over the top. Again. So again, just got it there, and we might just put a few black ones where. So we've got it there, so in here a bit. Oops, that got a bit wonky. I'm just trying to do it from a distance and I'm struggling a bit, so bear with me. Wonkiness is okay. Okay. What my eyes tend to focus on at the moment, and you'll find when you look at your pieces, your eye will be drawn to one thing. Now, my eye is drawn to that white of that text and the saying. I love the saying, but I think it's a bit too white. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a bit of scrap that I cut off. I'm going to cut a strip. I'm going to put some paint on it and sit on my project and see if I like it. Now, if you've got a once-off sticker, this is the way to do it. If you've got, I'm going to do it right in the middle. If you've got a computer-generated title, I could have just done it straight over the black. So I'm just going to put a tiny bit of sangria. What have we got? Dirty sangria, strawberry daiquiri, strawberry daiquiri. So it's a strawberry daiquiri just on it, and then I'm going to place it on the page. Now I've got to decide whether I like it or not. See, if this was live, I could ask you, do I do it white or do I not? I think the white is really fighting with, okay, let's just do it, and if I don't like it, we can start again. Do I have a paintbrush here? Oh, I have a paintbrush here. Sounds good. So let's just paint these words. And I have printed these on the computer, so if I do not like them when I put them on, I can easily go and print another one. I do have some spares from the class. And being with the black, it'll look different. How does that look? Yes, I think I like it. Do I want to do every word? Yes, I think I'll do every word. So often when I art journal, you don't really have to have an idea of what the final piece is going to look like before you start. I often don't. Okay, this particular piece, I wanted to use my new Silhouette stencils and show you how to use both of them. And I wanted to use my Delusions paints. Apart from that, I really had no idea what this was going to look like. So then I decided to use some book paper, and then I decided to add some washi tape. So it's sort of, your page doesn't have to have a final concept before you start. You can start adding and then get to the end and go, I'll add this, I'll add this. Some people think they have to have an actual idea in their head before they start, and you really don't have to. Now I can get rid of that one. Put that in my bin. Often I'll start, I may be inspired by someone to sort of change. And I saw something like this on Instagram with these two elements on the same page. And I thought, oh, that's cute. So my page is totally different colours, and my page is totally different stencil, because I didn't have the stencil they used because I'm using my own design. So as I said, there's no right and wrong in art journaling. It's basically, art journaling is about happiness. And everyone's happiness, and this is how I teach in person as well, everyone's happiness level is different. So if you liked the white and you're now looking at the orange and going, oh my God, Melinda, why the hell did you do that? I may think that in a minute and go change back to white. And I teach this in my classes as well. In my real person classes, in-person classes, everyone's happiness is different. So if you are happy with the white, stay at the white, stop at the white. If you want to go and do this extra step and paint them all with the fluoro paint, go and paint them all with the fluoro paint. I do like it with the fluoro paint. I think if I used the stickers are a bit littler, so I probably would have got away with the white, but with this typed text, I think I did need to paint them. And I could do this in a class with 20 people, and everyone's layout would be different. It's fun to actually see people take the concepts of my classes, and I like to teach a technique or a concept, not the exact page. But in saying that, if you're a person that is just beginning and you want to copy exactly what I did, go for it. I'd love to see it too. So if you are inspired by any of my classes for the Great International Craft Show number 9, well, I can't believe I think I've done 8. I don't think I did the first one last year. I can't remember. Last year was a bit of a blur. So if you do get inspired by any of my classes, I would love to be tagged on social media, and you can tag me with my business name, Scrapbookingncraft. Or if you just want to not put it up on social media and you just want to send it in a private message, you can go to my Facebook page, which is the same business name, Scrapbookingncraft, and you can just share it in a personal message. And art journaling is like that. This can be quite personal to yourself, and you cannot share it with anyone else. No one else has to see your artwork. Yes, my artwork is all over the internet, but that is my choice as a creator. Now they're all curled up. This would be fun to stick them down. I'm going to use the multi-matte medium again to stick them down. And my spreader thing, I'm going to do this way and hoping to get them straight. I was just about to blast them with the heat tool, and I thought, no, they're going to fly everywhere. So if I start with the top ones, this paint dries really, really quickly, the translucent paint, because I was putting a very small amount on. Now to get them straight. Straight is not my forte. This matte medium dries matte, so you almost don't see it. So if I do get some on the black, I'm not too concerned, but I'm just trying to get it on the back of the piece. These were just printed on photocopy paper, so obviously if I was using a heavier cardstock, I'd need a heavier glue. There are so many mediums available with mixed media, it gets confusing. This is probably what I call this is like a medium. This is called a gel medium, so it's like a medium weight. You can get acrylic matte medium. So acrylic matte medium is for like rice papers and napkins. This one's sort of the middle of the road for sort of photocopy paper and sort of getting to cardstock, but not cardstock weight paper. And then if you're sticking down cardstock weight paper, you just need a heavier glue, and there is an ultra thick one of this available, which I must get my hands on, and it basically is a tougher glue that will hold down sugar, it's stuck to my finger, will hold down thicker bits of paper. So if you do have any questions, pop them down below, or if you have any questions, you can certainly private message me through Facebook, because mixed media can get really, really confusing. Oh, come on. Be nice. Inside will fall into place. Okay. And the thing you got to watch when you're sticking several words down like this is you stick them in the right place. Because I was going to say, don't stick them in the wrong place, because I've been there and done that. So I'm sort of getting similar spacing between the lines. Doesn't have to be perfect. I don't have to get my ruler out and do it. I wouldn't do that anyway, because I don't like using rulers. I could have always used a liquid glue for this as well. But the gel medium was on the desk and it works just as well. I am liking, what I'm going to do is I'm going to outline these in black. I am liking the yellow, the orange. I think the white was just too white. Art journaling also doesn't have to be done in the same sitting. I obviously have done this over, I don't even want to know how many hours. Okay, I don't want to know how many hours because I just looked at the clock and looked at the time. But I've been interrupted with dinner and a few other things and motherly chores. And I'm about to be interrupted again with some motherly duties. So art journaling, you don't have to sit down for 2 hours and do the whole thing. I could sit down for do a background one day, and then I could come back and do my stenciling on top. I could come back another day and add my silhouette stencils. Come on, glue. Be not annoying and stick. Sometimes sticking over gesso, it doesn't want to behave properly. And I'm just being quite careful because this paper is only photocopy paper and it's quite thin. Usually I would print on 160 GSM paper, but when I went to print for this class, I didn't have any. I'd used it all. Just want to wipe that off. Great thing about using these wedge spreaders or silicone brushes is you can just wipe it off and it doesn't gunk up your paper, which is fantastic. Put it back in the bin. Just dry that off, and then I'm just going to show you how to outline the letters. So I've just got to dry all that off because if I bring my pen in now, I've got that wet gel medium everywhere, which my pen will not like. Okay, you may notice to change a couple of words around. I showed it to my daughter and she goes, that doesn't make sense. And I had inside right and the outside around the wrong way. So I gently pulled them off before they completely stuck and changed them around. You're probably all yelling at me anyway via your computer screens telling me I've got them around the wrong way. I'm having one of those days where just nothing will go right. I like the end result anyway. So now I'm going to just do some black around the boxes. We are nearly done. So again, I just want to make sure the paint is totally dry, and putting a box around the words just sort of finishes them off and makes them look like they're not stuck on and sticking out like a sore thumb. So again, whoops. Yeah, again, whoops. I like to move my page around. Oh, I'm having all sorts of troubles today. I don't know what it is. I have days like this where everything can go wrong, but that's all right. I'll get there in the end. My lovely 13-year-old daughter often finds mistakes I've done in my art journaling or in my scrapbooking. Maybe I should show her before I get the glue out. Note to self. Show teenager my work before I get the glue out. And so again, just make sure your paint's really, really dry before you go and put your line work on. And then I've got to decide whether I want to do a border around the edge. I think I sorted, maybe I don't. Maybe I do. Sometimes I just do a scribbly border around the edge, but I don't really want to scribble over the bricks. And I think I like it. So I think I'm going to stop. Knowing when to stop is something you need to learn yourself because, yeah, that can't be taught because I still can't. See, I told you I stopped and I've got the white pen in my hand. I just want to do a couple more of these bricks. Step and stop and walk away from the pink pen. I just want to do one more. Promise, one more. Oh, welcome to the crazy world of Melinda. So that is, I don't know whether you're getting a good picture. I'll put some close-up pictures of the end. That's one way to use the mask and stencil on the one page and have a lot of fun. And you can certainly use them separately in projects as well. Can't wait to see what you create. If you do create something I'd love to see, either message me at the Facebook page, Scrapbooking or tag Scrapbooking when you pop it on social media if you use any of our products or any of my techniques with these classes. I would love to see them. Thank you very much, and check back for our next class in the classroom. We have 4 classes running over 4 days of the Great International Craft Show number 9. Don't hesitate to check back for my other classes. And check out my Facebook page, Scrapbooking for all our live sessions we're doing over those 4 days as well. Not sure when and what, but there will be some and something. Oh, that's my life lately. Okay, thank you very much for watching, and I will catch you in the next video. Bye for now.